Starting from the left, you will need a ball of yarn. You can choose wool, wool blend, cotton, or cotton blend. The yarn I'm using is medium weight, 85% cotton, 15% polyester. You will also need a crochet hook and a dull-pointed needle, a 4mm and 3mm circular needles, 4 double-pointed needles, and a pair of scissors. I will also show you how to cast on and knit the ribbing section. Decrease to the heel section and knit the heel and turn the heel. You will also learn how to shape the toes of the sock. Let's get started. Take your 3mm circular needle and your crochet hook and the yarn you'll be using. Let's start casting on. Make a loop with your yarn using your index finger and your thumb. Take your crochet hook and make a loop knot. Now you are ready to cast on using the circular needle and the crochet hook. Make sure to cast on loosely, not like mine. I did it too tight. Wrap the yarn around the needle and pull the yarn through the loop to make another loop. Keep going until you have 35 loops on the circular needle. On the 36th loop, just put it on the circular needle and tighten the loop. First, start counting the loops. Count 18 loops and mark it with your finger. Pull it down to the wire area so you can divide your cast-ons in half. Make sure all the braided sides, which looks like V's, are facing each other on the circular needle. Double check to make sure you have 18 loops on each side of the circular needle. Push the side with the long yarn down to the wire area and move the loops on the short yarn area on to the needle. Now you're ready to knit. Make sure the long yarn is on top of the needle and not looped around the needle. Start with the knit stitch. Oops, this is what happens when you cast on too tight. Then the purl stitch. Knit, purl all the way to the end. And then you're going to flip your needle and knit the other side. Now after knitting, we're going to flip the needle and you're going to push the side you have just knitted down to the wire area. Just pull the needle out and you're going to move the loops you have not knitted onto the needle. Begin with the knit stitch. making sure your yarn is on top of the needle and not inside the loop you're going to make. Then the purl stitch, then the knit stitch, until you have knitted 20 rounds of ribbing. After knitting 20 rounds, there's 2 more stitches left to knit. Now I will be transferring the needles using the 4mm needles. I will be only using the knit stitch to knit 5 rounds. After knitting the 5th round, loosen the first 2 stitches and knit them together. I am slowly decreasing the number of stitches to 32 stitches. Continue to knit 5 more rounds without any decrease. I have now 10 rounds. There's 2 more stitches left to knit using the 4mm needle. After that's done, flip the needle and move the loops. Make sure your yarn is above the needle and not looped around the wire. Now slip the 2 loops onto the other needle and knit it through from the back. Continue knitting 5 more rounds. After knitting the 15th round, slip the first 2 stitches onto the needle and slip it back onto the original needle. This way you can loosen up the stitches before knitting 2 together. Knit the 2 stitches together. Continue knitting the next 5 rounds without any decrease. Then we can begin working on the heel section. After knitting the 20th row, move the first 2 stitches over to the needle and knit through the back. Now it is time to do the heel section. Knit 3/4 of the way and leave 8 loops before the starting point. To find where the starting point is, go to the ribbing section and follow the knitted column to the top. Push the needle forward to make this the beginning of the heel section. Knit the remaining 8 loops and knit 8 more loops after the original starting point. Divide the 32 loops in half, making sure you have 16 loops on each side. Now you will purl. You're going to purl all the way back to the beginning of the heel section, making sure the yarn is above the needle and not below. Purl the last stitch and turn the needle around. Now you will do a slip, knit, slip, knit. Slip the first stitch, knit the second stitch, slip, knit to the end. For the last 2 stitch, slip the first and then knit the second. Flip the needle around and purl to the end. Once you have done that, you're going to flip your work and you will slip the first stitch and then knit the second, slip the third, knit, slip, knit, slip to the end. You'll be knitting this for 15 rows. After the 15th row, it is time to turn the heel.